Australia sure has exported some fine names when it comes to motorsport. Mark Webber, Casey Stoner, Will Power. But one of our finest exports is actually Arrow Karts, produced right here in Melbourne by Drew Price Engineering. You'd struggle to go to a kart meeting and not see an Arrow on the track. Their presence on the world karting scene is also strong. The Price family has a real hands-on approach to their business, with company founder Drew Price still overseeing production of Australia's finest karts and parts.
The first karts we ever produced we called Ace karts. That was back, I don't know, probably nearly 35 years ago now, or even a little bit more. To us it just seemed that the Arrow was a more marketable name. We had some really good success with the Arrow karts, and therefore we started to get a demand from varying countries around the world. Pretty strong in the USA market. I think we're probably placed as one of the main 5 or 6 sellers in the US market. I think that there's probably not very many people that have gone places in motorsport that haven't at some stage sat in an Arrow kart.
Success on the racetrack starts in here at DPE's 3,500 square metre workshop, where they produce roughly 25 karts every week, which equates to an impressive 1,200 every year.
We've basically got 2 actual manufacturing departments. We refer to them as a fabrication department and the machining department. We then move to a quality control and goods processing area. The assembly part of the factory we've got just basically split into 2 small areas, which is what we call sub-assembly and actual final assembly. We've still got a delivery goal of between 1 week and 10 days from the time of receiving an order to getting the order out the door. For me, it's not about my name, it's about the many people that have been involved in the company and who are involved in the company today. That's what really makes the product more than, I don't go out to the factory and make the product, it's more of the whole team that's involved.
Back on board now with Jake Coleman. This is a great shot looking back at him working hard around this Todd Road circuit.
And now on lap 11 of 27 in this first final, and right behind Coleman is James Golding, another debutant for this weekend in the Formula K kart. He was behind him, now he's gone up the inside and made the pass.
And we've got a switchback going, and they're having a bit of a chat to each other, telling each other, let's not fight, and that's one of the fastest corners in the track. They've gone too wide.
Yeah, too wide through that part of the circuit. Normally doesn't work, but these guys are giving each other a lot of racing room. As we see behind Coleman now, it's the number 6 top kart of Jake Klein, who's been one of the real battlers of this year's championship and mixing it near the front.
It is. It's great to see the top card on the back of that group there. Lachlan Gibbons here, been the big improver this season, and good to see him going so well.
Yeah, we've got a lot of young stars coming through the ranks, and none more so than a guy we're on board with right now, Jake Coleman. As we see, he's engaged in a tough battle once again with Jake Klein, and looks like exactly the same as last lap. This time it's Klein who goes around the outside.
Yeah, it's a big move into turn 5, and then you can get the switch back on the run up to that fast turn 6.
So head across the top of the circuit now. This is the opening final for round 5 of the CIK Stars of Karting Series, presented by Castrol Edge. We're now on the final lap here with Cameron Hill, and he's got a huge lead with only a few corners remaining.
He has. He's done a great job. There's no better way to start the final round of the season. He's basically dominated all year, and this win, if he can get there with only 2 corners to go, will guarantee him the championship title.
Cameron Hill comes across the top of the circuit now in his top kart. A big fist pump. You normally don't see a fist pump for the first final, but he knows the pressure is off. The title is his. He takes the victory by 3.9 seconds over Thomas Randall. Liam McClellan finishes in 3rd place, narrowly ahead of Lachlan McHugh, James Golding and Jake Klein in 6th place.
While young racers use karting as a great tool for learning the art of racecraft, a very important thing that they have to learn is how to set up the kart. Now, literally, there are thousands of things we could talk about when it comes to setups, but today we're going to keep it simple and focus on the front end. Changes to the front end are made so the kart will turn the way you want. The best way to achieve this is by adjusting the steering, and the most effective way of altering the steering is to play around with the front wheels. 2 major adjustments can be made here, known as camber and caster. Camber is something that we see in motorsport worldwide, and can be broken down into two different areas, positive and negative. Now, positive camber is when you have the angle of the tyre. It's all about the angle that the tyre sits on the road. Positive camber is with the outside tilted away from the rest of the kart. Negative camber points the tyre inwards, and they have very different effects on the kart itself. When you're running positive camber, it makes the front end very edgy and gives you a nice, very strong turn in into the corner because it's using the outside part of the tyre. Alternatively, if you want to run a negative camber, that means that the whole tyre has to lean over before you get grip. That time delay sends grip to the rear. Camber is also a great way of conserving those tyres, which is, as we know, a very important part of the CIK Stars of Karting. Caster, on the other hand, is very specific to kart racing, and it's all about the act of jacking one side of the kart up. Now, in between the axle and the wheel, we have this kingpin. It sits about right there, and when it's moved forward, that's adding caster. And you might think, well, how is that going to affect a wheel because it's round? But when the wheel is turned and you have caster added, it pushes that whole wheel down onto the racetrack. Now, with the left front going down, that means that the left rear is going to come up, and that helps you turn through the corner. The caster has a second advantage, and that it takes load off the motor, which gives you higher RPM, which means a quicker exit speed as well.
The top 5 starters are introduced to the crowd at Port Melbourne. Let's have a look at the grid. Starting on pole position, it's top kart driver Cameron Hill with Thomas Randall on his outside on his home circuit. Liam McClellan and Lockie McHugh make up an all-intrepid second row. Then we go to James Golding and Jake Klein, positions 5 and 6. It's an all-Cosmic Racing Australia fourth row with Gibbon and Smith, and a Western Australian pair of Patrick Martin and Nicholas Rowe on the fifth row.
Looks like Thomas Randall on the outside front row trying to get back onto the inside of the road to protect his second position.
Yeah, trying to shuffle his way in there. James Golding very sideways to the middle of the pack there, and they're going every which way in the middle, but leaving them all behind is Canberra's Cameron Hill.
A relatively clean start there for the whole field, so it's Cameron Hill leading the way, Thomas Randall and Joshua Smith looking for the move on the inside.
Yeah, Smith looking up the inside of Liam McClellan there on the Intrepid. But all the while, it's Hill from Randall. Then McClellan now starting to close in over this first sort of section of the race. Not very much experienced with this engine, but that's not hampering him in this weekend.
No, not at Hill, but I must say Cameron Hill's top kart looks like it is on rails. The car looks very balanced. He's driving it very smoothly, and the rest of the field are following closely.
Yeah, Hill has certainly come of age this year. He's battled over the last couple of years and been trying to get up towards the podium. He broke through for his first victory at round 2 in Newcastle, and now is leading the way as we look at the final race of the 2012 season for Pro Junior.